While folding knives may be the latest and greatest in the knife hobby, there's something about fixed blades that knife purists may appreciate. Sure, they're not as fun to fidget with as a folder, but they have no moving parts, so they won't break down. They are definitely one of humankind's oldest tools. Carrying fixed blades is a completely different ballgame from folders. And if this is you, well, it doesn't need to be, because there are some better ways. Here's how. And just to be clear, we're talking about carrying a knife as a tool. I'm no knife fighter, and if you want to carry one for that reason, that's your own business. So we're going to go from the simpler ways to the cooler stuff, and I've got 5 methods of fixed blade carry to show you that use paracord. So be sure to stick with me to see them all, as I think the last one is the coolest. First up, neck carry. This is something you've seen in a recent video of mine when I reviewed the CRKT tailbone. Fun and interesting little knife, but neck carry is a go-to option. This works best obviously with smaller knives like this cool little Boker Gnome fixed blade that I'm setting up with a neck lanyard. And I did get a comment recently on the tailbone video asking why you would carry a neck knife in the first place instead of carrying a folder. Well, I personally feel it gives you options, variability in your kit, and it comes down to preference. I know some knife guys that carry both a folder and a neck knife. Is it absolutely necessary?
Maybe, maybe not.
As we move along, I'm showing you how to set up a neck carry lanyard here with a safety release, as it can be a choking hazard. So you can tie a breakaway knot, or you can use one of these pop barrels. I think what it comes down to is how you plan on using your knives and what you're using them for. If you're living and working in an urban environment and you work in an office, you're most likely not going to need a neck knife, duh. But there are of course people that need and use knives for work in other occupations. That being said, in my experience, I do feel that neck knives are more popular with the outdoors crowd in terms of use by people camping, bushcrafting, and enjoying the great outdoors. Say for example, a bushcrafter has a large fixed blade for heavier duty tasks. Well, the neck knife would come in handy for smaller, more detailed cuts. It's also a lot easier to grab from your chest and neck area than pulling something out of your pocket. And remember, pulling out your fixed blade is always faster than opening your folder. But if you are used to retrieving your knife from your pocket or hip level, we can go with the classic belt carry. This time with a slightly larger blade, but still in the medium to small range with this SC Azula, which could be neck carried, but you could easily carry this on your belt with some cord. Now it doesn't take much lateral thinking to lash this onto a sturdy leather belt, and in this case we're going to use some double overhand knots to secure the ends of the cord, as well as some cord locks. Now a lot, if not all fixed blades that come with these plastic or Kydex sheaths often come with some sort of hardware that allows you to attach this to your belt via a tech lock or a simple plastic belt loop or some sort of other hardware. What if you either lost that piece or it was broken? Well, you could easily replace it with some paracord. This can be set up for vertical carry or horizontal scout carry. I do think that scout carry looks so cool too, but I feel like getting the knife back into the sheath on your back is a bit of a hassle. The cord locks on this vertical method are optional, but I do think they give you a bit of leeway when you're sizing it and locking it down to your belt. Now a quick pro tip that I learned about the vertical belt carry is that when mounting the knife on your dominant side, you might be tempted to have the edge of the blade facing backwards because you would grab the knife in the natural or standard grip. However, if you mount the blade so that the edge is facing forwards, this actually makes the knife easier to retrieve. Not that you're going to grab it in reverse grip and go knife fighter mode, but what you're going to do is turn your wrist inwards and grab the knife in the natural grip, as this motion allows you to do so without having to cock your elbow back as far. So just try it yourself and you'll find it's a lot more natural feeling. Then there's horizontal carry, and again, similar method to the last one, but this time I'm just using one cord lock and some paracord. This works fine on this CRKT Foltz Minimalist as it's very lightweight, but using a similar method, we can lash it onto the belt in a different position. The cross draw motion is very convenient and comfortable for you to access your knife from. And again, using a cord lock allows for sizing options. I can move the cord lock back and forth. This horizontal carry method located at about 11 o'clock on the belt line works due to the size of this knife. It's small and light enough so that it can sit on the belt in this position without being too cumbersome or getting in the way. It's also minimal in profile so that it doesn't print if you have a shirt or t-shirt draped over it when you're wearing it. And that can accommodate different thicknesses of belts. And by using a single snake knot, I can tuck it underneath the loop on the other side of the sheath. And now everything is nice and streamlined. Sticking with the belt carry options, this next one is quite interesting as it's called the ripcord or static line carry, and it goes in the waistband or pocket. This works really well for small to medium thinner fixed blades such as the CRKT Skoshi and Obake. I'm going to tie a couple of snake knots as my stopper knot, but you can tie whichever stopper knot of your choice. I'm using a fancier bead here, but any bead will do. This is the mini babushka bead from Damn Designs. And here's a pro tip for getting the cord through the bead. Using a piece of the inner guts of the 550, just loop it around the gutted cord, then pass the ends through the bead, and then you could pull it through. From there, you loop the ripcord onto your belt and the bead cinches the cord down. And now you can carry the blade in the waistband, so when you go to draw the knife, the blade is only unsheathed after it clears your belt line and when it reaches the end of the cord. You can do it one-handed, and when you go to resheath the blade, you don't have to go digging into your waistband and you can do it away from your body. Also, the knife can be easily repositioned with a forwards or backwards cant, meaning that if your knife is in an awkward position when sitting or getting in and out of a car per se, you can move it to where it's more comfortable. And with the Skoshi, because it's so small, you can even stow it in that fifth pocket of your pants if you have one. Now, have you ever wanted to carry a knife like a henchman in an 80s or 90s action movie? Well, you can with the Mercenary Carry. Sounds pretty badass, doesn't it? Now, a while back, I made this Cobra Knot Mercenary knife harness, and some of you all...
It ain't you all, it's y'all. Y'all.
Made fun of me for carrying such a small knife like this SC Azula on such a large harness. Well, guess who's done some overcompensating? This guy. The Mercenary harness is a great way to carry larger fixed blades, such as this Civivi Tamashi, as a large blade on the hip can be especially uncomfortable to unsheath due to its length. However, this method of grabbing the large fixed blade from your side is extremely natural and comfortable. Now, I did show you guys already how to make the Cobra Knot version, but if you don't have time to make something this substantial, here's a super quick minimal version you could make. Got one larger length of cord for the main part of the harness, and I'm going to take a smaller piece, and then with the longer length doubled over at the midpoint, I'm going to tie a small section of Solomon knots. This is going to form an adjuster, and you want it tight enough so that it stays in place, but not so tight that you can't slide it back and forth. So I tied 4 Solomon knots, and I also did the clean finish, but that of course is optional. After the Solomon knots, we're going to slide on a dog's nose, and by that I mean a cord lock. But if you don't have a cord lock, you can simply tie a second set of Solomon knots. This second adjuster is going to sit just above the fixed blade so that you can cinch the second loop on your non-dominant side closed and securely around your shoulder. This will make a lot more sense when I show you momentarily. So the reason why this Merc harness works is because when it comes to larger fixed blades that have a longer length like this Tamashi, carrying something like this on your hip isn't the most comfortable. I don't think it's really meant to be vertically carried in this position, as it sits a little too high on the belt when mounted using the belt loop hardware, but maybe I'm doing this wrong. You probably could carry it horizontally, but because it is rather large, it can feel a bit cumbersome, in which case you would want to scout carry it on your lower back. However, this is where the Merc carry method steps in. What's also great about this method is that it makes the blade very concealable if that's a necessity for you, as a jacket can easily cover the entire setup. Now we have a super simple and minimal Mercenary Carry Paracord harness that only took a few minutes to make. So some of you might even be wondering, why carry a fixed blade? Well, to be honest, I'm not the best qualified person to talk about this, as I tend to carry folders. But a fixed blade has no moving parts and therefore no chances of things breaking. Also, I think it highly comes down to what you're doing with the knife and why you're carrying it. Fixed blade knives would definitely excel in bushcrafting, camping, and outdoor situations. But at the end of the day, it just comes down to preference. Do what makes you happy, and don't waste your time criticizing what other people do if it doesn't affect you. Now, at the end of the day, this is just my perspective from someone who lives in an urban environment and I of course do not claim to be any sort of expert. I'm just here to show you what I think and what I know, and I'm sure there are a lot of you that know more. So let me know what you think in the comments, or if you have any tips of your own when it comes to fixed blade carry. Now hold on a minute, did I show you 5 methods? This was 4.5. Well, here's an extra one, backpack strap carry. Using the same paracord methods with the cord locks, you could easily lash your fixed blade to your backpack strap. Oh, and if you like paracord neck lanyards, check out this video on how I recreated a $30 Kickstarter product for $3.
All right, check it out, guys. Mall Ninja Knife Guy, final boss. 2 neck knives, 2 on the belt, 1 in the waistband, 1 in the pocket, and the Merc carry. 7 knives in total. How much of a badass am I, huh? Sorry.